Welcome everybody to the Full Droop RC channel. Today I'm bringing you a special episode. We're gonna go from nothing to a full build in one single episode, so stay tuned until the end to see all the process that we're gonna be going through. We're gonna be starting off with the China Special AliExpress F9 Curry axles, and at the start I had a little bit of a doubt because I did have some old brass parts that I used to mount on some old Capra axles, also from AliExpress, because where I live we do not have access to the official parts, so I have to resort to buying from AliExpress. The quality, it's pretty good, might not be the same as the official parts, but you know, we're gonna make use for what we have. And in today's episode we're gonna start off by mounting the brass parts onto the axles to make them heavier. I did run into some issues though. As you're gonna see in a little bit, I'm going to mount everything in one piece because my initial idea was to have the front axles super heavy and keep the rear axle stock. But when I was mounting the parts, even though they look the same, maybe in the machining process, there must be some different tolerances, and I ended up having some pretty big binding issues with the full brass hubs and steering parts. So what I ended up doing was keeping half and half, so the first half on one axle and the other half on the other axle. I still had a little bit of binding, but it was usable, especially when I mounted the tires. It was almost barely noticeable, so I went with that route. And as you can see, we're gonna go in a little bit and do that operation. Overall, the mounting, all the holes, everything was fitting perfectly, so this was something unexpected. I'm gonna be honest, I did waste quite a lot of time on this particular part of the build, but it's no big deal, you know, it's part of the hobby, it's part of the fun, so we're just gonna keep our head down and fix everything. I also tried to use the brass axes, like the wheel axes, but unfortunately the trespassing hole was different from the axle, and the pin was way too wide, so I ended up keeping the stock wheel axes for this build. Not a big difference. I just had those parts and I wanted to use them all, so nothing too crazy going on there. And here we have our finished axles. As you can see, I kept one part on one axle and the other part on the other axle, and we're going to weigh them right now so that I can decide which axle goes in the front and which axle goes into the back. We're gonna start off with this one with the pumpkins. It's going to go almost 400 grams, and the rear one is going to be a little bit little less heavy, so the second one is gonna go into the back. And this is what's going to look like wheelbase. This is what I was trying to achieve at first. Now you're gonna see in the next few clips of the video that I wanted to try and mount the servos not in your standard way, but in the long way, like you're gonna see in a little bit. And I ended up not doing that in the end because they made the wheelbase way too long, and with this width of axle it was looking super funky and I really didn't like that. So in the end I ended up designing and 3D printing my designing and 3D printing a different servo mount. And the cool part about this project is that everything is going to be made by me, designed by me, and 3D printed by me. So this was a pretty big challenge, considering that I never have done anything like this before, nor have I ever 3D printed anything. So I really went head first into this, and I didn't design like any small parts. I just went with the idea of building a full car. So this was definitely a cool project, something that I really enjoyed. It was difficult, but not so much, to be honest. I think my modeling experience definitely has helped me going through the project a little bit more smoothly. But if you have time to practice, or you're looking for something to learn and stuff like that, I would highly recommend you CAD modeling. I did use Fusion 360 for all of these applications. I also 3D printed these axle stands that you see here. And this was, as you can see, the first version of the servo holder. As you can see, the position is not your typical position, but doing it like this ended up giving me quite a bit of troubles, also with the link position and stuff like that, because those two circle holes that you see are going to be the link location, and that's not going to end up working quite good. But no worries, we're going to 3D print and mount something different. As you can see, this was already a second version of the servo mount. This won't be the final version because as I said, I didn't like them. And as you can see, the link positions are not correct by any means, but I didn't really care about the performance. And this was more like a self-challenge and something more aesthetic. Yeah, as you can see here, I also 3D printed the battery holder that's going to double as a fake fuel cell. And as you can see, also the engine over there. Now I started 3D printing this dash that it's going to go into the battery holder, and it's going to go across the car. Nothing super good here, nothing super good looking here. I just kind of modeled something very quickly just to gauge the dimensions and everything, the proportions, to keep everything right. I also designed a small button holder for the Fusion motor, because I wanted to keep everything hidden, like cables and stuff like that. I didn't want to show anything, or at least try to keep it as clean as possible. Here you can see me mounting the battery. I also had quite a bit of trouble with some PLA. As you can see in this video, in a little bit I'm gonna try to close the lid and it's going to explode. I did reprint like 5 or 6 lids, and I think the problem was with this particular PLA that I was using, and also my design that wasn't like super correct. There was quite a bit of pressure under quite a small part, so in the end I decided to fix it by putting in a couple of screws and holding everything together, so those mounts are gonna be a little bit stronger. As you can see, the piece here popped up, and nothing that a little bit of glue and patience can fix, so I went ahead and fixed that. And as you can see here, I did end up changing the servo mounts. Those are the pretty much classic servo mounts. Most of the axles are going to come with that servo position. This allowed me to keep the wheelbase much shorter, and in the end have a more pleasing look. As you can see, I also 3D printed a driver. And this driver I found free on, I think it was CG Trader or Cols 3D, I cannot remember, to be honest. Here I was printing the exhaust. I did end up making a couple of changes. Still, the exhaust are not really satisfying me at the moment. I found a good Toyota engine for free online, but it was so many pieces, and it recommended a smaller nozzle than my 3D printer, and I didn't want to go and buy another one, to be honest. I just wanted to build everything with what I had. Here you can see my 3D printed motor and the rest of the project. I also started doing a little bit of cage, as you can see there, but still very. And here you can see the first version of the engine and the second version of the pipe. As you can see, I also made an oil pan. And the first pipe came out super wide, it was way too cartoony, and I'm still not satisfied with this one. I don't have much engine knowledge, so I just kind of found some reference pictures and I went off by just by looking at it. First couple of pictures outside to see it in a more natural lighting. Sometimes it helps me with proportions and stuff like that, and also to check if everything is fitting correctly. The skid plate is also being 3D printed. I went through a couple of versions of that because I was making the screw holes a little bit too weak, and under the smallest pressure the plastic was cracking. I am using the standard PLA, not the PLA Plus, so I need to make everything a little bit more beefy. I also ended up making the, we can call them rim covers, like this, because I didn't really like the look of those metal wheels that I had. Here's my partner Jimmy. He always has to come look at what I'm doing. And yeah, I think those really complemented the look of the truck, because the rims that are underneath are quite ugly in my opinion. And as you can see, here it is, the final body. The body took me almost 10 hours of printing. I did have to slice it in a few parts because it was bigger than my printer bed. So I had to work around it by slicing it up. The final look of it, I am actually super stoked, to be honest. This is exactly what I was going for. The driver fits perfectly. I think I maintain quite a nice nice proportions and stuff like that. It looks a bit weird in the crawler world. There is nothing like my first idea was to cage it like everybody does, but then I didn't want to go and buy all the stuff needed to make a cage, and I decided to just kind of hop on the Fusion program and try to challenge myself to make something that looked different, something that's never been seen before. I think maybe there's somebody else already made it, I don't know. There's still some work to be done on the forks because I am running 110mm forks, but as you can see right here, in some positions when they fully extend, I'm not really pleased with the look. Like, I don't know how to explain it really. I would like a crawler that stays a little bit lower, a little bit more planted to the ground. But that's something for the future. I don't want to spend any more money on this project right now, so I'm just gonna bring you guys running videos of it. I'm gonna try and build a small crawler course in the house. And we got some flex. The axles are quite heavy, and since everything is made out of plastic, it's going to pretty much be super light at the top. I am running 3S batteries and a Fusion 1200 kilo something. And we do have plenty of throttle control, and also I am running 40 kilogram servos front and rear, so the steering should not be an issue. Now, what's left to test is the strength of the skid plate, and after I'm gonna be done testing that, this build is gonna be finally complete. In the meantime, I'm gonna start adding some details like radiators, maybe something else. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for staying until the end. Please drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, and let me know if you like the single episode videos or if you want to see multiple episode videos. Thank you so much guys, thank you so much for your support, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.